some time back, you decided that you're gonna temporarily, because you're a cat with 9 lives, you are going to temporarily hang your media boots to focus on business. Talk to us about that transition.
Well, I'm hoping now it's not temporary. I think I'm done. I think I'm done. But I did a strategic plan for myself and my life.
I saw that had you posted it on Twitter or on Instagram or on LinkedIn? You said,
yes.
I'm just done doing my 10-year strategic plan.
Yeah. And actually, that's the reason why I handed in my resignation. Because I said, where I want to go in 5 and 10 years, I'll not be able to do it. Whether I'm doing a side hustle or I would not be able to do it until I close that and completely focused on where I want my life to go. So in as much as, yes, I love journalism, I love Metropol, I love that space and doing things, it was time for me to be selfish about where I want to go and what I want to do. I mean, my kids are growing like weeds.
They grow up so fast.
Yeah. And I want to be there a lot more for them. I mean, it takes a lot more work now. I'm creating content, which is something I've always wanted to do. I'm still moderating. I set up a group called Africa's Leading Ladies, which is always something I always wanted to do in terms of creating a space where women can grow, business-wise, career-wise, just a positive space for people to get pushed out of their comfort zones, which I would never have been able to do if I was in employment. Creating content. I'm doing so much at the same time, and I needed to do that, and I would not be able to really give 100% if I was still working. Yeah. So that transition is still in the making. I still don't have a rhythm. I still don't have a routine. Like, this is how my Monday looks. This is how I even got a diary, because I'm like, I don't know how people do this thing. But yeah, I'm winging it as we go along. But it's so much more. There's a lot more purpose in what I'm doing now, because I know where I want to get to. Yeah.
If you could just, what does a 10-year strategic plan entail? Because mimi nilena umekaya, I was just like, in the middle of a pandemic, ukana nguvu ya kutengeneza. Like right now we are on survival mode.
And that's exactly why it's a great time to actually do it, because it's like the reset button has been set for everyone.
Yeah.
It's for everyone. I mean, like, tomorrow I could wake up and decide I'm moving to Zanzibar. Because the world has shown us that, one, you can work from anywhere.
Yes, exactly.
That, two, what we hold on to are really temporary. Whether it's a job, whether it is a house, whether it is, so career, employment, everything is temporary. So I think, just keeping an open mind and looking at the impact of COVID from the positive perspective in terms of what does this mean for me. I mean, for us as carer, this has been, there was a month, I think May or June, that I was like, oh my God, this business, where is it going?
Yeah.
Corona's happened. And then we just decided to completely focus on how we're delivering our products, how we're connecting with our customers. And July and August have shocked us completely.
Yeah.
Like, we have never, since Care Organic started, sold as much as we have in the last 2 months.
So, in the midst of a pandemic and transitioning to full-time entrepreneurship, how are you absorbing the shocks and taking advantage of the opportunities?
Fluidity, one. Knowing that things are changing very quickly and looking at where the opportunities are. Like, for us as Care, we've seen the e-marketplace, e-commerce is bigger than we have ever thought it was. We would be like, how many times do I actually order something from home before? Not much. I'd prefer going to the shop. But now I'm like, it can be brought home. I'm saving on fuel. I'm saving on so much. I know the product because I've used it before. So I'm not trying to get a new product, so to speak. But the coping is looking at what's happening around us and just moving very quickly, and not thinking of, this is how I know it, this is how it's supposed to be done. It's just, this is what it has brought to us, this is what Corona has done. what are the opportunities? I mean, there are people who look at Jack Ma, I mean, look at the international commerce platforms. Within the last couple of months, they've probably made more than they have, for as long as those companies have been set up.
Yeah.
So for us, whether we're not in the e-commerce space, it's quickly looking and saying, there's an opportunity here. And in as much as I know a lot of people have lost their jobs, I've also met a lot of people who, yes, they lost their jobs, but very quickly, I can do this. I have a talent in, like I had a lady who, in this 100 runs thing I'm doing, there's a lady who lost her job. She was working in a motor vehicle company. But she's always been a designer at heart. Nothing that she has trained on, but she has an eye for design and art. So she started doing like craft bottles and she's selling online. And I thought about things like that and I'm like, we don't have to go into, upskilling is good and retraining yourself. And now there's even more opportunities for that. Just getting an education online. But just going back to what can I do? There's people who are now, selling food door to door. Putting up a small catalog, which is free online because there's all these resources to do stuff. And just seeing, where the opportunities. If around my neighborhood, more people are home, maybe if there's more bachelors or single people, why can't I say, on Mondays I make rice, dengu, whatever, Sundays I make pilau, sell around the neighborhood for 100, 200 bob a plate. And so many people are doing that now. So it's very impressive how people are coping within a pandemic. For me, I guess my friends are not as bold because they know me well enough not to tell me, are you actually quitting your job during a pandemic? Because I'm that kind of person. I make a decision and I move quickly. And half the time I don't say until I've done it anyway.
Yeah.
So, because you don't want people to discourage you from what you know is the right thing to do.
I think that's the thing. Sometimes when you talk to people, just maybe to have them see your point of view or to gas you up, they end up doing the opposite.
The opposite. I know. So I depending on what, of course, the decision is and who it affects. Me quitting my job only affects my children. That's it. Both are below the age of 18. So nobody's asking me, Mom, So I decided I'm done. I told my friends and my family after the fact, because I knew everybody would be like, it's okay, you need the salary, which is true, because cash flow is, it's not
cash
easy.
crunch is real out here. and I think also that factor that it takes a lot of patience for businesses to grow, break even and become profitable, even if that's the route you're going to venture in.
Yeah, they do. But there's also quick ways of making money.
Please tell us. We'd love to hear.
There's also quick ways of making money. Like the moderation work, the service space is very much 30-day LPO, 60-day LPO. That means you don't really have cash flow. But there's other things, and for me, one of them is selling. So care is good because there's cash flow. I'm selling on a daily basis. So it's not my money, but from that business, then I do have a salary, right?
Yes.
So it's maybe not the kind of salary that I can afford myself, but it's something small. And just buying and selling things or creating content and approaching somebody and saying, I have this, I can do this for you. I'm just growing my YouTube channel, but, can we negotiate? This is my rate card. And those are quick wins because you're not asking for, what a corporate would ask for usually. But you're growing your channel, you're growing relationships. Mm-hmm. So there's just, know where your strengths are and find out what can I offer at a certain price. How do I value or how can I value some of the things that I can do. So for me, that's how I've managed this period. It's basically looking at, these are my strengths, I can do this for somebody, I can value it at X amount, so I do a proposal and I sell it.
And you've mentioned something that you're now creating content, which means you're still in the media space. So how are you tailoring that space to suit your current needs and the place that you are?
Mm-hmm. So because I've carved a niche as a business journalist who really is passionate about entrepreneurship, I've looked for partnerships. And sometimes I've even been approached by potential sponsors and partners who then pay for the content that I'm creating. So yes, I am creating, but it's not I'm creating and then looking for somebody to come in and sponsor on one hand. But then on the other hand, I'm also creating content, but with a mind of at some point I'm going to be able to charge for this kind of content. So there's a mix in between, and I think the opportunity for money on YouTube, for instance, because in Kenya, before you even start making like what guys are making internationally, it takes a long time. It takes a lot of, I mean, those algorithms and the things they use doesn't put us at an advantage, no matter how many followers you have.
Yeah.
Or no matter how much views you get. But partnering with like minds on the content that you're creating then also gives you value, because it's expensive. If you go to, you're doing maybe some of the housing stuff that I'm doing, you need cameras that you hire, you need a crew, you need an editor, you need a camera person. So are you just going to throw money? Well, not throw. Are you just going to put money in and you don't know whether the money is coming back or not?
Yeah.
So for me, it's knowing that I'm creating content that somebody else will find value in and will say, oh, okay. So I've approached company A, this is my proposal. Can we feature your property? I'm going to charge you X amount. So cover production costs and make, a little profit over it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's what YouTube and these platforms should be. We should treat them as a broadcast channel, because it is, it is. So for me, that's my new media house. So I'm a media maven.
Yeah. As we almost come to a close, I mean, there are people who are watching and they're in that transitionary phase where you are at. Some by choice and some because every single day maybe you keep taking a pay cut, or you look at the space that you're at and you're like, my future here is not very bright. What would your advice to them be?
Transitions are very difficult, mostly because we are never really prepared enough, to transition from a financial point of view. And it's harder when you're kicked out, maybe the company was not able to, meet its financial obligations, so then they call for redundancies or whatever, which is what has happened to many people now. But when that happens, there's a number of things you can do. But the first thing is to be very honest with yourself. How am I financially? What are some of the things I can cut back on? How do I get back on my feet? Then going back to what are my strengths and what can I sell? Because at the end of the day, we have to make money, right?
Yeah.
So the transition phase has to take a lot of introspection. And even when you want to jump out, I know they say, oh, you must have 6, 7, 8 months of rent, and if you have a family and you have responsibilities, it's very hard, no matter how much you earn, well, unless you're like earning millions, it's very hard for us to really save enough to keep us going for 1 year, let's say. There's people who are very disciplined financially, and they can do that. I know somebody who goes to the US, works for 3 months, comes back home and stays for the rest of the year, just having fun and enjoying life, and then goes back to the US, works for 3 months, and comes back. And she makes a lot of money. She's fine, and that's what she's chosen for herself. So for us, within, it's just knowing, where do I want to go, and then the non-compromisable issues or stuff. Like for me, it was education for my kids. I said, no matter what happens financially, I need to ensure that my kids get a great education. So, and not get kicked out of school, of course. So knowing what your non-compromisable issues or, things are, and then working around it. But there's a lot of downsizing involved. There's a lot of honest conversations involved. Move out if you have to a cheaper place. Sell whatever you don't need. And you'll get back on your feet. And just, not living your life for other people, which is something that, we do. Oh, if I move, what do people say?
Yeah.
If I downgrade, what do people say? I mean, I know life is about moving on. Because whether you're happy or you're sad, nobody really cares as much as we think that, they care. When you're alone sleeping at night wondering about the bills, it's just you. Other people are dealing with their own manenos.
Yeah.
So for me, in a sense, transition is a good thing. It also takes us back to the reset, but it also is a great time for introspection and just resetting your life afresh. So we shouldn't always look at it from a negative side, because sometimes, like for me, it was positive eventually in retrospect.
Did you cry
A
during
lot.
that period? I was telling Rosemary, because of what has been happening in the media industry, we were just having a conversation, and I told her, for like 2 months, I've woken up every single day and cried. And she said, it's because whether you know it or not, there's a paradigm shift happening in your mind. Corona has disrupted every industry. The media has been disrupted. And I was just from being with colleagues from NTV in the field on Tuesday, and on Friday they were fired. And you ask yourself, okay, so this is the industry that we operate in. And if those big names can be fired, one way or the other, the axe might land on you. So what are you going to do so that it doesn't land on you? Or what are you going to do so that when it lands on you, you're ready? And those are very difficult questions to be asking yourself, particularly when you thought, I'll graduate, I'll go work at a startup, then I can be poached by the bigger media house and move international. You have to take all that back and tell yourself, I'm at ground zero. How do I redo this all over again?
First, I would say the power of staying positive is, I mean, it's harder, it's easier said than done, but staying positive and knowing that no matter what, I'll be fine. No matter what, I'll be fine. It doesn't matter what the axe lands on me, I will still be fine. And the reason I'm saying that is because even if you look at statistics globally, yes, the big media houses are big. But where do you consume your news mostly from these days? It's the internet. It's the other digital platforms. So there's a space for everything. There's a space for business journalism from a freelance perspective. It might take a while to really build. But then even that taking a while is, what effort am I putting in to build my brand? Now more than ever, as journalists and as media practitioners, we have a space that we can build ourselves the same way any journalist is, whether they're in Europe, whether they're in the US, whether they're in, other countries in Africa. We're on the same platform. And we can build our brands in the same way. So if you decide to pick a niche, for instance, you're a business journalist, and look around you and say, what can I focus on? Like, I know people who are focused on energy. I know others who are focused on the corporates within the transport industry, say airlines, for instance. And now they have become known as the people who, if you want to read, like I remember Mugambi Motegi, who was at Business Daily before he moved into corporate, he used to write a lot on KQ. So anything that happened around KQ, if Mugambi had not, if Motegi had not written it,
it did not happen.
It didn't happen. And if I wanted, for instance, to report something on KQ, I would call him first to counter check, or just get his feel on it. So there's people who have found niches that we should also do, and we should also do the same in whatever space we're in. So if you want to be known as the journalist who focuses on what would your interest be, for instance?
I think what I was doing with Trailblazers, just focusing on African entrepreneurs creating modern day solutions for everyday problems.
So exactly. So making sure that your brand is so visible, using every possible platform to make sure that your visibility grows. And at some point, you never know, you can start charging, for that if you're in the freelance space. I mean, in a media house, it's of course very different. But if you're freelancing and people start approaching you, can you cover the story? What stops you from saying, it's, cover my production costs and X amount? Yeah. So I think it's the thinking different, and that reset button that we must always consciously think of, and just finding what your strength and what your passion is, and then creating value enough for somebody to pay for it.
Finally, what next for TC?
That's such a, how much time do we have? Like 3 days?
I mean, the strategic plan is that long.
So what's next for me is I want to live my life as if I've retired.
Oh.
In a sense. in terms of my career life has been very engaging. It's taken a lot of time out of my life. And now I just want my life back. So I want my life and then my career. Like I want my life first and I want to make money. So the future for me is whatever it is that I'm doing around the content space is giving me the time to spend with my kids more, which is what I want. Just, living life simply, enjoying, maybe moving to another town, I don't know.
Your parting shot?
My parting shot is the world has reset and there's no reason why we should put our roots in anywhere. There's opportunities across the world, not just in Kenya, but, Tanzania or even, in other towns. So I think for us, it's just hit the reset button, go, find where the world is and, just explore, enjoy and enjoy life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terryanne, for making time. This has been an absolute pleasure. Also, Jules, you have a YouTube channel.
Yes, I do have
I know I have like 2 followers, but sell yourself.
So my YouTube channel goes by my name, Terryanne Chebet. I create content around entrepreneurship, real estate, and all things in between. Mm-hmm. And cooking sometimes.
Oh, yeah, you cook.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for making time. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or any comments, the comment section down below is always the place to have the conversation. And I'll try and ensure we forward some of these things to TC so that she can respond, because the essence of these conversations is to grow each other, right?
That's true.
Okay, thank you guys for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.